Hello, it's Dr. David Green, founder and CEO of Regen Suppliers, your one-stop shop for everything regenerative. Today is an instructional video for ReBella PRP, which is our new clinical grade PRP system on the market that is amazingly cost-effective, as well as having a much higher concentration of platelets than the baseline and also most, if not all, competitors on the market. So typical disclaimer, no part of the presentation may be reproduced without permission. I do want people to know that PRP is an autologous therapy that is allowed in the USA, Canada, and worldwide. It's even permitted by the World Anti-Doping Association. It is not a performance-enhancing substance, and you can use it freely throughout the world. Our ReBella product line currently includes the easy-to-use PRP kits along with the centrifuge as well. We have clinical-grade PRP. I'll show you the table in a second. It's very easy to use, as you'll see in the video, and the pricing is jaw-dropping. And if we need to, we will meet or beat, usually, any competitive comparable system on the market. As you can see here, we compared ReBella PRP to 6 other kits on the market. And what we looked at was the increased factor in platelets, which is really what makes it clinical grade PRP. And ours ranged anywhere from 5 to 10. I just took an average of 6.5. And you can see that it's much higher than any of the other kits that are out there, which means better results for your patients. So here's pretty much everything that you'll end up needing once you get the blood sample from the patient. The centrifuge, 1 or 2 tubes, depending on whether you're doing a single or double spin, various syringes, the counterbalance, some water for the counterbalance, a scale for the counterbalance, and the screw pusher to separate the red blood cells from the PRP and PPP. So here's a view of the centrifuge. You'll see it in action. It is very sturdy. It's durable. It's easy to use. It spins up to 4,000 RPMs. Our kits use RPMs of 3,200, but we do have the capability. These buckets do hold Dr. PRP and M-Site too, if you wanted to use some of those kits up to 4,000 RPMs. Our introductory pricing for the centrifuge, only $19.95. We have two size kits, 30 or 60 milliliters. We do have a PRP specialist on staff full-time to train our participating practices and answer all of your questions on a regular basis. Our pricing, unbeatable. We will beat or match any comparable kit pricing on the market today. What can you use PRP for? Well, musculoskeletal works great for joints, for soft tissue, whether it's tendon, ligament, like plantar fasciitis, whether it's from a sports injury or an overuse condition, just from typical aging. Aesthetics, PRP is getting more and more popular every year for hair restoration, facial rejuvenation, and sexual health procedures. A lot of people use it by itself, or you can mix it with other biologics for better results. It's very popular for wound care. It has been for decades. There is some recent research coming out showing it can help with lung issues. For instance, there's some early research on PRP through a nebulizer for lung injury, also for COPD. It's not recommended for IV use. Basically, you're taking whole blood from the patient, spinning it, concentrating the platelets, and then if you put it right back in the bloodstream, it's not going to do anything.
the sample, we are going to prep our ReBella 60cc PRP kit. Some of the items you will need will be the collected blood sample, anticoagulant. We just completed a draw for the patient. You will need a 20cc syringe, a 10cc syringe, a spare 10cc syringe just in case you might need it, and at least two 18 by 1.5 inch gauge needles. You'll need some water. You'll have to have a counterbalance set up, a digital scale measuring the counterbalance, setting the appropriate weight. Of course, again, the ReBella kits and our pusher to actually help you push up the platelets after you separate from the first spin. So to get started, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach one 18 gauge by 1.5 inch needle to the collected blood sample. So I'm going to take the lower lock top off. I'm just going to pop the needle in. Just going to set that down for now. From here, we're going to go ahead and prep our ReBella 60cc kit. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take off the lid, which pops off easily. Take the green rubber cap, which pops off easily. Set it flat on your workstation. We'll go and take a quick seat. So the next step will entail us to put the blood sample into the PRP tube, which from this perspective, first thing I'm going to do is take the needle cover off and put it inside the opening at the top. I'm just going to rest it flat on the top of the table. From here on out, you want to go and slowly put the blood sample back into the actual tube here. That line right there, which is the 60cc line. Go ahead and discard the blood sample. So we're going to go ahead and prep it for the first spin. So before you do so, don't forget to put the rubber cap back on top, properly seal it, put the plastic lid back on top of the concentrating tube. Now, go ahead and take your digital scale. Make sure it's zeroed out first, and go ahead and weigh out the sample. So over here, our sample is 103.2 grams. So from there, you want to go and set it aside. Typically what I like to do for the counterbalance is I'd like to pre-fill with water just to get started with the actual weighting process. You can do it from empty, but I feel like if you save a couple minutes by pre-filling it, it makes it a lot easier between having to adjust the weights in case you can't zero it out. So again, the weight of this is 103.2. We're going to get this equal to 103.2 grams. So 89.4. So we'll go ahead and get the wire set aside. So you're going to want to use a non-sterile syringe with at least an 18 gauge 1/2 needle attached to it. And I'm just going to go ahead and take out some water. I'm off by 0.2. Close enough. Close enough. So we're okay at about a 0.3 gram allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the additional spin here. So I'm going to put the counterbalance in one bucket. We're going to set the blood sample in a bucket opposite from it. We're going to close the top. And from here on, we're going to adjust our spin parameters. So what you're going to want to do is press the little tool button is what I call it here. Each time you press it, you highlight a specific parameter you're able to set. In this case, I'm going to be pressing it until I highlight the little RPM number over here. And where you press it, 3,200 RPMs. And press a couple more times until you get to the timer right here. Then you have to press it quick. And from here, we have the parameter set, 3,200 RPMs, 5 minutes. And to start the centrifuge, all you have to do is press and hold this button right there, which I like to call the play button. At this point, you just have to sit back and wait until the centrifuge completes the spin. Once the cycle is complete, the lid will automatically pop, and of course, this step, it'd be good to actually stand by here just in case, you know, counterbalance weight is off. Make sure it's stable on spin. So we're over here wrapping up our spin. The way the counter works is the moment time runs out, the RPMs will slowly, gradually decrease instead of doing a sudden stop. In the spin cycle, the centrifuge will automatically open. So next you're going to do is you want to go ahead and plug the counterbalance to that side and observe the blood sample for separation. So what we have here is we have the platelet plasma suspension and we have our buffy layer at the bottom here. So what we're going to want to do now is prep the extraction of the PPP layer and also eventually our PRP towards the end. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and open up the 20cc syringe. We're going to go ahead and take the lid off, set that aside. And we're going to go ahead and prepare screw-in tool we're going to have here to actually help us separate the platelet plasma suspension. If you have this fully unscrewed, it's going to be like this, all the way screwed out. The next step is going to want to unscrew the cap at the bottom here, which turns clockwise to unscrew. I'm going to put this into the tool here, securely hold the base, and screw in the tube and tighten it.
Yeah, we're actually moving to.
From here, you're going to want to pop the rubber cap off, push this inside, then attach the 20cc syringe. So by putting it into the hole like that, making sure it's stable. Now, the next step is I'm going to use the screw-in tool to push the plasma up, slowly of course. And as I'm doing that, you can see the plasma go up the top here and the syringe slowly fill up. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to extract platelet poor plasma to your left with 6 cc's total. And with that 6 cc's, we're going to use that for our PRP concentrated plasma. So just keep screwing this. Here and observe the line to see exactly where I'm at. And if the lighting's bad, feel free to take out a light, take a look. So I still have a little bit to go, so I'm going to get the plasma buffy layer to about the 6th line right here at the top. So, alright, so once you have it to 6 cc's left, you're going to go ahead and want to remove the syringe here. So to prevent possible splashback, what you're going to want to do is gently shake it to ensure that if there's any pressure, you're not going to have too much of a spread back. Look. Not much leakage at all, so we're going to set this aside. So that's our PPP. Now what we have here is what we're going to use for our PRP. So I'm going to take a 10 cc syringe and basically repeat the whole process until we get the buffy layer and the concentrated platelets in a separate syringe. Tool here, and as you can see, as we're actually separating the remainder of the plasma with the platelets and the buffy layer, you can actually see the difference in color between the PPP and our PRP sample. You're just going to want to keep going. as you see the shield turn dark, you go ahead and stop.